Shelly was born into a wealthy family, and her parents adored her deeply. They made sure she had everything she ever wanted, from the finest clothes to the best toys. Shelly's life was full of joy and comfort, and she grew up knowing she was loved and cherished. Shelly shared a particularly close bond with her mother. They were best friends, always seen together, laughing, chatting, and telling each other jokes. Their home was often filled with the sound of their laughter, her bling, creating a warm and lively atmosphere. Shelly's father, however, was not always happy with how they spent their time together. One evening, as Shelly and her mother sat in the living room, giggling over a story her mother had just shared, her father walked in. He looked at them for a moment before shaking his head. "My dear," he said to Shelly's mother, "you spend so much time chatting and joking with Shelly. Don't you think you should use some of that time to help her with her studies?" Shelly's mother smiled and replied, "Oh, she learns enough at school. Why should I tire myself teaching her again at home? She's doing just fine." But her father wasn't convinced. "No, she's not," he said firmly. "Shelly is a slow learner and she needs extra guidance. If you spend time helping her with her studies, she'll improve. She could go from being a slow learner to a quick one. Don't you see how important this is for her future? She's a girl, yes, but she deserves a good education. She needs it to get a good job and build a successful life after school." Shelly's mother waved him off, chuckling. "You worry too much," she said. "She's still young, and what she learns at school is enough for now. I don't have the time or energy to sit down and teach her at home." Her father frowned. "But you have the time and energy to tell her stories and laugh all day? Don't you see that you're wasting an opportunity to build her future? If you don't change your ways and start guiding her now, you'll regret it later." Despite his words, Shelly's mother didn't take him seriously. She believed that Shelly would grow up just fine without extra help. Shelly, on the other hand, listened quietly to her parents' conversation, unsure of what to think. She loved the time she spent with her mother, but deep down, she wondered if her father might be right. Shelly's story had just begun, but already her future was being shaped by the decisions her parents were making. What would happen next? Only time would tell. One sunny afternoon, Shelly came back home from school looking worried. She dropped her bag by the door and walked straight to her mother, who was sitting in the living room, sewing. "Mom," Shelly began, her voice trembling, "they're preparing for a quiz competition at school, and I've been left out of the students chosen to represent our class." Her mother looked up briefly but didn't seem too concerned. "Why were you left out?" she asked. Shelly sighed and lowered her head. "I don't know, Mom. I think it's because I'm not as good as the others in my class. I don't even know where to start or how to prepare if I ever get the chance to participate. Please, Mom, can you help me? Can you teach me some of the topics that might come up in the quiz?" Her mother put her sewing aside and shook her head. "Shelly, I'm too tired for that. I don't have the energy to sit and teach you right now. Why don't you ask your father to help you instead?" "But Mom," Shelly said, her eyes filling with tears, "you know Dad is hardly ever around. He's always traveling for work. Where am I supposed to find him to teach me? You're the only one I have at home. Please, Mom, help me prepare. I don't want to embarrass myself at school. What if they laugh at me?" Her mother sighed heavily and stood up. "Shelly, I've already told you, I can't do it. I have too much on my plate. Now stop disturbing me and go do something else." Shelly stared at her mother, heartbroken. Slowly she turned and walked to her room. Closing the door behind her, she sat on the edge of her bed and began to cry. "Why is my life so different from others?" she whispered through her tears. "Other parents help their children, teaching them and preparing them for things like this. Why can't my parents care enough to help me? Why does Mom refuse to teach me when I need her the most?" Shelly sobbed into her pillow, feeling completely helpless. She imagined her classmates laughing at her during the quiz or teasing her for not being chosen. The thought made her cry even harder. For the rest of the evening, Shelly stayed in her room, consumed by sadness. She thought about her father's words and how he had once told her mother to spend time teaching her. Maybe Dad was right, she thought. Maybe if Mom had helped me earlier, I wouldn't feel so left behind now. As the days passed, Shelly couldn't shake the disappointment. She knew she needed help, but with her mother refusing to guide her and her father unavailable, she felt stuck. Despite her tears, Shelly made a quiet promise to herself. "I won't let this stop me," she whispered one night. "I'll find a way to catch up. Even if no one helps me, I'll try my best to learn on my own. I'll prove to them, and to myself, that I can do it." Little did Shelly know, this moment of determination would mark the beginning of a journey that would change her life forever. The day of the quiz arrived, and the atmosphere at school was tense. The students gathered in the classroom, nervously awaiting their turn. The teacher called them up one by one to answer questions in front of everyone. Shelly sat in her seat, her heart pounding. Her mind raced with panic. "How will I answer my own questions when I haven't studied at all?" she thought, clutching the edge of her chair. "Oh my God, I don't even know what they'll ask. My mom didn't help me, and now she wants me to embarrass myself in front of my classmates. What do I do now?" She kept whispering to herself, trying to calm her nerves, but nothing seemed to help. Her name was finally called. "Shelly, it's your turn," the teacher said. Shelly stood up slowly, her legs trembling as she walked to the front of the classroom. The teacher smiled at her and began to ask questions. But before Shelly could even think of an answer, fear overwhelmed her. Her hands shook, her heart raced, and suddenly the unthinkable happened. Out of sheer panic, Shelly accidentally soiled herself. The smell quickly spread through the room, causing the teacher and her classmates to gasp in shock. The classroom erupted into chaos. "What's that smell?" one student shouted. "Run," another yelled. Within moments, the teacher and all the students ran out of the classroom, screaming and shouting as they fled down the hallway. "What just happened in there?" a passerby asked, but no one stopped to explain. Shelly stood frozen for a moment, tears streaming down her face. The humiliation was too much to bear. She turned and ran out of the school, heading straight home. As soon as she got inside, she locked herself in her room and burst into tears. "Why is my life like this?" she cried. "Why didn't Mom help me when I needed her? Now everyone at school thinks I'm a joke. I'll never be able to show my face there again." Meanwhile, back at school, the administration called Shelly's mother to inform her of what had happened. "Madam," the principal said sternly, "your daughter Shelly is no longer allowed in this school. She's been expelled because of her behavior today." "Expelled?" Shelly's mother exclaimed in shock. "What did she do?" The principal explained the entire incident, leaving Shelly's mother speechless. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Tears welled up in her eyes as guilt washed over her. She rushed home and knocked on Shelly's locked door. "Shelly, please open the door," her mother begged, sobbing. "I'm so sorry. I've failed you as a mother. Please forgive me. I promise I'll make this right." After a long pause, Shelly finally unlocked the door. Her eyes were red from crying. Her mother knelt before her and held her hands tightly. "Shelly," she said, "I've realized my mistake. I should have been there for you, teaching you and guiding you. I've been so selfish, and I'm truly sorry. To make it up to you, I'll send you abroad to continue your studies. You deserve a fresh start, and I'll do everything in my power to give you a better future." Shelly looked at her mother, her heart softening. She could see the sincerity in her mother's eyes. "I forgive you, Mom," she said quietly. From that day forward, their relationship grew stronger. Months later, Shelly and her mother traveled to the United States together. As they boarded the plane, Shelly felt a mix of excitement and hope for the future. She promised herself to work hard and make the most of the new opportunities ahead. In the end, Shelly's life turned around for the better, all because her mother recognized her mistake and chose to make amends. Moral lesson: parents play a crucial role in shaping their children's future. It's important to support and guide them, especially during their moments of need. Neglecting their education and emotional well-being can lead to regret, but it's never too late to make things right. Thank you for watching and supporting this story. If you enjoyed it and found it meaningful, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more engaging stories. Stick around, as there's so much more to come. Your support means the world to me. Thank you.